I returned home late one afternoon to find several vehicles parked outside my home. The entrance was open and there were several strangers inside. A stranger, wearing a uniform I didn't recognize, blocked my entry. "My name's Brian. I live here," I stated, and without a hint of emotion. I learned long ago to dial down my human side when dealing with other teens. It made me appear volatile or disrespectful. Underneath, my heart was racing. I took a slow breath to center myself. He signaled another being who came out and escorted me a short distance away. "What happened?" I asked. He took out a hand scanner from his uniform and confirmed my identity before speaking. "Your mother is dead," he said, straining to look up at my face. I didn't respond immediately. My intuition told me my next response was important. Don't smile or do anything they could interpret as an admission of guilt. Don't get angry or upset. That could suggest I might become aggressive. My responses were being recorded as potential evidence. I took another breath. I kept my arms near my sides. No big gestures they might misunderstand. So far, so good. He wasn't preparing to apprehend or subdue me. I may be bigger, but I was unarmed. No need to compound things. "Can you tell me how it happened?" "Initial evidence shows she killed herself earlier this afternoon." "I see. I knew it might happen someday. It wasn't a shock to me. Sometimes I was hoping for it. She was a mass of negativity and despair. Nothing I did could help her. At least now she was at peace. She hadn't been happy as long as I could remember. While I processed the information, another uniformed being, this one a female, came over and stood beside me. I had nothing more to say, since I half expected it to happen. When I thought about the last interactions I had with my mother, I saw nothing exceptional. I'm pretty sure the vid recordings will confirm that I did nothing wrong. Grin. They have nothing on me, or they treat me differently. The female reached up to put her hand on my shoulder. Was she trying to show empathy to me? I tried to calm myself further and focused on neutral thoughts in case she was trying to read me. It's not every day you lose your only parent. I don't want to break down in front of strangers. Tears are definitely not Tien. There'd be time for that later. I'm Tien, and I need to act like one. I took a breath and wiped my eyes on my sleeve. "Your mother left this for you," she said, passing me a note. I looked at it, but she wrote it in English. I'd never really learned to read that language, though, but I didn't feel inclined to share this right now. I put the note in my pocket. I took another calming breath. "So what happens now?" I asked her. The other being had backed off, leaving me in her care. As a minor, I figured they assigned me to her. "Brian, I am from the Central Orphanage. As of today, we have updated your status to orphan. I will help you gather your possessions and take you to your new home. I have also contacted the scientists because your mother was a subject of their study. They suggested Earth rituals involve burial of their dead. They want to arrange a suitable ceremony, if this is acceptable to you." I nodded my agreement. By now, I was pretty sure she hadn't picked up any of my inner thoughts. Within a short time, my mother finally left her self-imposed prison in a biocontainer. Most of my life, I had rarely seen her step out of the entrance to our home. This event seemed both surreal and somehow important. I had a hard time understanding the significance, though. I felt numb. Shortly after, we gathered my things and left. The Central Orphanage was very nice. They staffed it with qualified and caring beings. I got a pleasant room to myself, no worse than my last home. The decor was fairly plain, like all Tien dwellings. I was perfectly happy with it, since I grew up a Tien. They arranged for a slightly longer bed for me, which was a plus as I was outgrowing my last one. A couple of days later, I got to attend the funeral. It was a simple ceremony. The scientists and several of my classmates attended. The scientists had provided a plot of land with an inspiring view of the mountains, and we laid her to rest there. I learned from the scientists that they ended their study of about 15 cycles in duration. They were moving on to something else, and they bid me farewell. I'd long ago made a list of all their names, and one day, I planned to deal with them. I wasn't ready yet, as I was still young, and I needed to plan it out carefully. After the funeral, I returned to the orphanage. Free from distractions, I applied myself to my studies. Over time, I took subjects more focused on a career involving space travel, including advanced astrophysics and navigation. I excelled at whatever subjects I selected. Clearly, I was on a mission. My mentors and the advisors at the orphanage saw me as a model citizen and a testament to their guardianship. Perhaps because of my good behavior, they didn't interfere with my progress. They could take credit for my success and devote their time and energy to less well-adjusted beings in their care. I didn't care what they did. I wouldn't give them a reason to bother me. By now, I used the system to my advantage and find what I needed without their help. I added training in weapons and unarmed combat to my schedule. Tians were fairly peaceful, but I knew I'd need them in the future. At the early age of 18 cycles, I had all the prerequisites, and I expressed my intention to go for training and certification as a shuttle pilot. This was when I first triggered a negative reaction. They invited me to an office for a meeting. "Brian, are you sure that's a wise move?" my so-called career advisor asked me. At this point in my life, I still needed the approval of a guardian. "It's what I want to do. I've completed all the prerequisite subjects. I've met all the entrance criteria," I responded. "We hoped you'd choose something different." "It's in my career plan I prepared 2 cycles ago, the one that you reviewed." I was getting red in the face. She had noticed my reaction and seemed anxious. How could she shoot me down now? Was she under orders to keep me grounded? I took a deep breath. I didn't want her to use my emotions against me and get labeled as irrational or unstable. "How about courses in applied physics? I'm sure you will find them more suitable." She was a piece of work. I was fantasizing about doing serious injury to her, but I showed nothing. Not here, not now. "It's what I want to do," I repeated calmly. "How about we find out if I get accepted for shuttle pilot training? If not, I will meet with you to discuss alternatives then." I remained calm but firm in my resolve. We both knew I would be top of the list for acceptances. Besides, I had already sent in my application. If she blocked such an ideal candidate, she would have to explain her actions to someone. And I was very close to adding her name to my list at this point. A couple of days later, I got an acceptance response. My so-called career advisor wasn't happy at all, but I was now beyond her reach. I couldn't care less for her and planned to prune back any interacting with her in the future. I didn't understand the logic in it. That was the last time we met. Perhaps she had the same assessment? I took to shuttle pilot training like an aquatic bird to water. Everything made sense to me. I was abnormally keen for a tune. With near-perfect scores, I completed my shuttle pilot certification, and I had my first vocational qualification. At once, I signed up for shuttle assignments. There was plenty of demand for qualified shuttle pilots. Tien Prime is a hub in this part of space, and lots of vessels would arrive in orbit and need cargo and personnel moved. I encountered no further resistance, and I had a job to keep me busy. I was a productive member of Tien society. From then on, I spent more of my time piloting a shuttle into orbit and delivering cargo and personnel to vessels that were visiting Tien Prime. I looked down on the planet of my birth and observed it in all its glory. Actually, I saw how small Tien Prime was compared to the galaxy. It was quite the paradigm shift. As a child, you respect your elders, but now I look down on them all, and they didn't impress me. I met beings from other starfaring races, either aboard their vessels while loading cargo, or planet-side at the central spaceport. A few of their languages I knew from my earlier studies, but I soon reached the limitations of my knowledge. Fortunately, they almost all spoke Tien. I was one of the youngest shuttle pilots, looked weird for a Tien, and I was less reserved for a Tien. I became popular for the first time in my life. No one questioned my choices anymore, or perhaps it was that I didn't need another being's approval. I kept calm, rational, and unemotional. I performed a needed role as a pilot. In all interactions, I gave all the correct responses, ensuring no justification for anyone to interfere with my life. I was a perfect Tien with a career ahead of me. My experience in space gave me a calm confidence that few could disturb. In time, perhaps they'd leave me alone, or so I hoped. The day arrived, and I celebrated my birthday of 20 cycles. I had reached the Tien age of maturity. This day, my status changed from orphan ward of the state to adult Tien. They encouraged me to leave the orphanage, to pursue a career, or do anything I wanted. I had no family to tie me to here. It was time to move on from this planet. I saw multiple opportunities to travel the stars, being a citizen of a spacefaring race. There was, of course, the Tian military and scientific exploration vessels, and commercial passenger and freight transports. Based on my experience as a shuttle pilot, I decided on a career as crew aboard a cargo freighter. It would get me away from Tian Prime and make use of my piloting skills. There was a freighter I knew, the Opolunia from the Ori Confederation. The Ori beings were marginally taller than me, so they were significantly taller than Tians. By now, I was reasonably proficient with the Ori language. I contacted the captain and asked for an interview at the Central Spaceport. At the appointed time, I arrived at the offices of the Ori Confederation at the spaceport. It was a bit more luxurious to me than I was used to. Tian buildings were mostly Spartan. I already felt a little out of my comfort zone. My experience with Ori was loading cargo into the hold of their ships. Compared to Tian decor, this felt pompous to me. I walked up to the desk in the entrance area and announced myself to a female Ori seated there. "Hello, my name is Brian and I have a meeting with Captain Ch.2 of the Opolunia," I said. I tried to keep calm like the Tian I was. "Welcome, Brian, to the Ori Confederation," she said with a smile in perfect Tian. Except Tians never smile. "Just so you know, these offices are the sovereign territory of the Ori Confederation. Our scanners checked your ID as you entered. I have approved your visa for the duration of your visit today. Please follow the blue floor lighting to the meeting room." Whoa, I am no longer on Tian territory? I kept a calm face, nodded, and proceeded as directed. I was familiar with the floor lights, which directed me to my destination. As I entered the meeting room, the door closed behind me. There were two Ori beings seated at a large table. The far wall was an enormous window with an impressive view of the spaceport. The Ori on the left I recognized as Captain Ch.2, having met him before. They both stood and greeted me. "Welcome, Brian," said Captain Ch.2 in Ori. I nodded politely at him. "Let me introduce Trade Ambassador Wolek to you," he said. "He represents the Ori Confederation here." By now I felt a little overwhelmed. I expected to meet the captain only, and I stumbled for a polite response in Ori. They seemed to overlook that. We sat down at the table. "Brian, the captain asked me to join him in meeting you today. I hope you don't mind, but I have concerns I'd like to address," said Wolek. Like the captain, he had a warm smile and seemed genuine enough. "But what concerns?" "Ambassador Wolek, it's kind of you to take time out of your schedule to meet with me. Please ask away," I responded with my best Ori. I tried to project calm, radiate the absence of issues. One thing my late mother taught me was politeness. "Brian, you're Tian by birth, but you're not of the Tian race." "Correct, sir. My mother and father were from a planet of a primitive, non-spacefaring race. Tians abducted my mother and brought her here before I was born. And I understand you were a ward of the state, but you're now past the age of maturity?" he asked. "Correct again. I reached the age of 20 cycles about 1 lunar cycle ago. Is that an issue, sir?" I asked. I maintained the calm face, the unfathomable nothingness that was characteristic of Tans. Inside, I waited patiently, hoping it wasn't an issue. "No, I was getting to that. According to your ID, your credentials are impeccable. You have no criminal record, and best of all, the captain here vouches for your polite attitude and shuttle piloting skills." He looked over at the captain and they both smiled. Life aboard a freighter isn't a decision to take lightly. It's not glamorous. The freighter becomes your home, your workplace, your family. It takes a certain type of person to fit that lifestyle. "I think I understand, and I still wish to apply," I said. "And there's the question of why the Ori Confederation. You could apply to work aboard a Tian freighter?" "Correct, sir. I could apply to a Tian freighter. Perhaps I would be more comfortable with a Tian crew. But I don't want to settle for comfortable. I've been in orbit, seen the stars, and met other races. To stretch myself beyond my comfort zone is what I want. This is my choice, and I'm of sound mind and body," I said, hoping that would settle it. It was the most Ori I had spoken ever. I'd put in lots of time brushing up on my Ori for this. I'd prepared for several questions, and this was one of them. Captain Ch.2 smiled at me. For most applicants, I could check with their parents that an applicant has thought it through, that there's no ulterior motive for leaving Tian Prime. "I contacted your former orphanage. Would you like to know their comments?" Ambassador Wolek said as he looked at me. I nodded. They suggested I decline your application. Their opinion as a career closer to home would be more suitable for you, he said. I was going to add more names to my list. I had trusted those beings. The ambassador continued before I blew a fuse. Brian, since you're of a maturity, their comments hold less weight. I take the word of my captains highly. On behalf of the Ori Confederation, if you're still of a mind to apply to join the crew of the Apoluna, I won't block your application. I nodded, smiling for once. Captain, it's your decision, he said to Captain Jago. Brian, welcome to the crew of the Apoluna. Report in 2 days for medical and departure thereafter, said the captain. The ambassador punched a few things on his tablet. As of now, I've updated your visitor visa to a work visa. All Ori Confederation vessels are sovereign territory, and your ID chip will now grant you access to work aboard them. I left the expiry date open. If you decide to part ways, Captain Jago can take care of it. Also, if you work past 5 cycles, you're eligible for Ori citizenship. It's entirely optional, but I recommend it. Our long and peaceful status with the Tian Federation allows dual citizenship. Captain, please update the food dispensers aboard to recognize his unique genetic profile so that his first meal aboard does not kill him. Yes, of course, Mr. Ambassador, said the captain with a grin. The meeting broke up after that, and I returned home. I paid a last visit where they'd buried my mother. Then I packed my few belongings, and 2 days later, reported to the spaceport. I got off the transit at Central Spaceport and proceeded towards the offices of the Ori Confederation. But before I made it to the entrance, a spaceport security officer intercepted me. He insisted I come with him. What could I do? He was wearing a uniform, body armor, and carried a weapon. I was a law-abiding citizen and always had a cautious, if not sincere, respect for law enforcement. I forced myself to remain calm and accompanied him to the spaceport security offices. He took me to an interview room. It was Spartan, even by Tian standards. Inside was a table and 2 chairs, all firmly fixed to the floor. The room lacked windows, so I couldn't see anything. I sat in a chair and waited, feeling frustrated and annoyed. I was so close to leaving this stupid planet and moving on with my life. Outside, I kept my mask firmly in place. For certain, this room was being monitored. I would not make the mistake of giving them cause at this point. After a while, another Tian security officer entered the room. He sat in the chair opposite me. Brian, do you know why you're here? He asked. Stay calm. This is likely just the beginning. No, sir. Your security officer who apprehended me didn't see fit to inform me. I'm pretty sure that was a breach of protocol for the officer. Could you tell me the purpose of your visit to the spaceport today? Is he trying to trick me into revealing something? I'm not doing anything wrong. Yes, sir, I have an appointment at the offices of the Ori Confederation. I signed on as crew on the Opaluna, and I leave today. Is there an issue, sir? I kept it calm and very polite. You cannot leave. Your name is on a no-fly order. I almost lost it then. Someone had it in for me, but I didn't know who. I don't understand. I've worked as a shuttle pilot for almost a cycle, and I've had no trouble. Please check your records. I have completed all the applications. As a citizen, I can go if I choose to, I said. I was finding it increasingly hard to keep my calm. I have checked. My orders are to hold you here and inform command. I expect they'll send someone to collect you soon, he said. Understood, sir. Please may I inform the Ori Confederation that I cannot meet with them as planned? I was running out of options. Was I a Tian citizen or not? No, but I'll have a message sent, he said. Then he left the room. In my mind, I was contemplating various ways of breaking out, disabling the officers who saw fit to detain me and escaping the spaceport. In all the scenarios I considered in my mind, I didn't succeed. Too many checkpoints that could block me. The Ori Confederation would also not want to hire a criminal either. I didn't like it, but I had to wait. It was a long time before I heard voices approaching my room. Soon after, the Ori ambassador and another Ori entered the room, followed by the security officer. My little room was suddenly crowded. Come with me, Brian. We're leaving, said the ambassador as he extended his arm towards me. I got up to leave. The security officer objected to my leaving. The other Ori, whom I hadn't met before, blocked the security officer. Officer, the ambassador holds a diplomatic passport and is outside your jurisdiction. Brian works for the ambassador and is a citizen of the Ori Confederation. If you wish to make this into an interstellar incident, I'll need your ID for the inquest. I'll also need copies of all video recordings. Please keep in mind that if your government does not support your claim that you were following orders, the penalties can be rather extreme. I had never met a lawyer before, and he impressed me. The security officer had, though, and he backed off quickly. We soon left their offices and hastened across the spaceport to the offices of the Ori Confederation. While we were walking, the ambassador tapped on his tablet. Once inside the entrance, we slowed our pace. I've updated your credentials to match what my lawyer said to that security officer. It should get you through the spaceport and aboard the freighter. I don't know why, but someone doesn't want you to leave. I don't know what may happen in the future if you step foot on Tian territory, said the ambassador. It was a rare occasion that I was smiling. I was escaping the planet of my birth. An Ori diplomat was helping me, and I trusted him more than all the Tians I'd known on this planet. I felt overwhelmed with trepidation and relief. I sat, or more correctly, I fell into a chair. This was a surreal moment. I felt the shakes coming on when someone handed me a drink. I took a small sip, and after I decided it's safe, I took a long drink. It tasted slightly sweet, and within a moment, I felt better. Thank you, I said in the direction the drink had come from. By now, several Ori, all showing concern, surrounded me. After growing up with Tians, their expressions were obvious to me. If they were Tian beings, I would feel uncomfortable. We don't show such expressions. But since I knew a bit about Ori, they all felt genuine to me. In my entire life, only my mother had been so open with her emotions. It felt both overwhelming and nice. We're behind schedule. If you're feeling better, please come this way, said the ambassador. Next on the agenda was medical screening. This was standard procedure to ensure you don't bring any planet-side germs with you. It involved automated scanners and such. They updated my ID chip and immediately took me aboard an Ori shuttle and traveling up to the Opolu Na in orbit. In my haste, I didn't even get to say goodbye to the ambassador.